Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis. Today, very grateful, very humbled to be joined by Soul Alchemist and expansion guide, Louise Hauff. Welcome to my show, Louise. This has been nearly 4 years in the making. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor to finally be here. We've talked about it so much and now it's come to fruition. So thank you for having me. I'm very excited to see what unfolds
We do have
today.
a lot to talk about today, Louise, don't we?
Absolutely. When don't we? Yeah, we definitely do.
I reckon we should tell the viewers and the listeners and the people out there how we actually came to each other's paths. You crossed, what, nearly 4 years ago on the beach in Burleigh Heads, and you recall the story in a very funny way, don't you?
I most definitely do. I still remember that day, you walking out of the water and making a very interesting comment.
Mm.
And I thought, gee, that guy's got a bit of, yeah, he's got a bit of a hide saying that. Bit audacious and a little bit green, but
Mm.
there was that little bit of spunk about you. I thought, oh no, yeah, there's something there. And the way you've just transformed your world since that day, and me watching you and witnessing you step into your power and really awaken into who you're here to be has been nothing short of remarkable.
Mm.
So
I
yeah.
appreciate the kind words. Louise, it's about you today. So tell my audience, my listeners, who you are, what you do, and yeah, just take the floor.
Who am I and what do I do? Well, as you know, I'm not a massive fan of labels. We are in the 3D realm though, so we kind of have to attach, I guess, to some of those to a certain extent, just so people know who we are and what we're here to do. But I believe we're all multifaceted, we're all multidimensional, and when we try and box ourselves and limit ourselves, we really are not tapping into our full potential. So, but just for this instance, I am all about empowerment. I love empowering women, not just women, but also men. I'm a sound practitioner, so I facilitate sound healing sessions. Crystal bowls, absolutely am obsessed with sound. It's the ancient technology that's the way of the future, has the ability to heal so much in people. And I really love activating people too. So to tap into on a soul level where they've been, who they are at their core, and to really activate and expand them through their own innate ability to really remember who they are and who they're here to be and who they're here to impact. So that's my passion.
And you've done that with me the last 4 years too.
Yes, on a few occasions. Yeah,
Yes. No,
thank you. No, it's been
the breath work's very, very powerful. We did one a few months ago, and you have done the sound bowls too. And you, it's a sound is a beautiful thing, and it's something that has been obviously hijacked by the mainstream music system. But that whole sound is that 528 hertz and all those things. What got you into this stuff?
Well, that's an interesting story. Where do I start with that?
Mm,
I, being a giver, uh, that's just in my nature. I think a lot of healers who are here to really shift the collective consciousness and to raise the vibration of humanity are natural healers. We're all innate healers. Our body has that ancient wisdom already embedded in the DNA. So that's nothing foreign to any of us. It's just about attuning to that frequency and really tapping into that remembrance. But for me, it was about probably about 8 years ago now, 6 to 8 years ago, or thereabouts. I was just called to really start tapping into my healing abilities that I knew were there. And I ended up coming across a lady who was talking about Reiki. And the hands, I knew that I had the ability to heal with my hands. And of course, naturally, that was what gravitated me towards doing my Reiki level 1 and 2. And she was actually a sound healing practitioner as well. So I went to a few of her sessions and I had the most profound experience at one of them where I'll just go there. The roof opened up. I was laying down on my mat. The roof actually opened up and two beings came down, blue beings like the avatar, little
mm.
Pleiadians, and they came down and held each side of me and held my hand. And it was almost like they were reminding me, that they were messaging to me that you are home. This is home for you. And it was that unlocking of that remembrance for me then to, and they said, this is what you need to be doing. So a beautiful gift from the ethers and tapping into those other lifetimes and other dimensions where a lot of our wisdom actually is. It's already integrated and embodied in who we are. But for me, that was a beautiful reminder that, wow, there is something that's far greater than who we are. And to be able to tap into that. And of course, I explored that a bit further. And then I think within probably 2 or 3 weeks, I had bought myself some bowls. I'd enrolled in a course, and the rest is history. So bits of paper obviously are important in the in any industry and in the 3D realm that we're in. However, if it's something that's innate and something that is very familiar, which is what this space has always been for me, then it's who you are. It's part of you. So yeah, so that's pretty much how all that came about. And then just the natural way of healing and healing through words, healing through my voice as well has been really powerful to witness over the last few years, especially seeing people awaken into their own becoming and just to walk the path back home to help guide them back to their core essence and the power that lies within them.
Mm. We often say and talk about home, it's not a physical home, is it?
Absolutely not. I mean,
Where is home?
anywhere. Well, that's relative to the individual. Yeah, that's a great question.
Mm.
It's almost like it's a becoming, it's an unearthing, it's an untethering. It's all encompassing, and that's the way I see that homecoming. It's a perpetual, every step we take on our journey here on earth is a perpetual homecoming. We're always coming back to the core of who we are. And the more we untether from burdens that were never ours to carry, from conditioning, from programming, from all the stories that we have attached to that are not even our truth. Yet we've made up those stories for safety, for protection, for all the things. And the more that we're able to untether from those and to witness them for what they truly are, the more we are able to come home back to ourselves. And that I guess journey can be expedited. It's available to all of us at any time in so many timelines that are playing out, especially at the moment with the a massive amount of light that's pouring onto the planet. We always know that multiple timelines are playing out simultaneously, but now it just feels like there's a really strong hum and a pulse of all of that, and we can actually see that, and we're feeling that with every core of our being, with so many shifts and changes in the external. So that's also mirrored from the microcosm. Our inner world is reflected by what we're experiencing in our outer reality. So
Where did
as
all
you
this wisdom come from, Louise?
lived experience is a really powerful gift.
Mm,
And I feel that, we are seeing, even in our children now, we're seeing, a lot of from sort of 2000, the year 2000 born onwards, and especially the ones that are coming through now, little star
mm,
seeds, they are so naturally connected to themselves, connected to that source energy, connected to the purity and the
mm.
light that we all are. But it's just so powerful to see them coming through and them really being selective with the bodies that they're choosing to inhabit and who they're aligning with in terms of the soul contracts that they have with their parents to be able to learn what they're here to learn, but to do it in a more, I feel, expanded way, in a more elevated. If you're looking at highs and lows, I like to look at expansion going that way. It's more of an outward trajectory rather than up or down. And it's just so powerful to see how much intelligence and innate intelligence they actually have. And it's that beautiful mirror for us to be able to reflect. And they're our biggest teachers and mirrors, our children. And that's the beauty of when they are here, when they're triggering or activating parts of us that really need to be looked at and witnessed. And a lot of the time, it's that part of the homecoming. It's inviting those parts in that we may have shunned or pushed aside or suppressed or not really wanted to acknowledge. And experiences, especially through children, the ones who are activating us in a massive way at the moment, they're those little reminders that yes, we are human, but we are also so much more than that. And I guess what insights I have, apart from the lived experience, it just feels natural to me. So what I speak, I often do wonder where it comes from. And to a lot of people, it can sound very left field. But I know the people who know me and the people who I'm here to help and who are ready to receive my medicine through my voice and through my words, they get it. And
Mm.
it's not necessarily getting it up here. It's the getting it, it's the feeling, it's the heart, it's the buzz, it's the knowingness. And I feel that the more we can come back to that, get out of the head and back into the heart and the body, the more we can just enjoy what we're here to do and who we're here to be. And that's a beautiful gift of the human experience. It doesn't have to be dense and heavy all the time.
No.
We know it's dense and heavy, but it doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to sit in that.
How are you able to get out of the head and into the heart? Because a lot of people will listen to this and say, "Oh, that's great," but like, how do you do that in your own life? Because there are moments in life where things just happen and we just get back up there. How do you bring yourself back down into that beautiful heart space that you shine from?
I guess it's presence for me. I find I don't shy away from being in the density and
Mm,
sitting in my shadow. I choose
mm,
to sit in it and witness it for what it is, for what gift that it's there to give me, because everything's a gift, right? We
mm,
can be annoyed, we can have anger, we can like go through the emotions by all means. Like that's why we're here. And we're emotional beings. We're energetic beings. So that's just energy in motion is emotion. So of course it's important to feel everything. And that is also part of why we're here. For
mm,
me, the presence is what just brings me back to that moment, to the eternal now, which is all we ever truly have. And I guess being in the head, we're thinking too far forward. Um, and also, then if we're looking too far back, that's also bringing in sadness, depression, grief, all of those things, regret. And too far forward, the anxiety kicks in. It's, the need to control, to cling, to grip. And I guess the now moment, what it teaches us is just fluidity, to be
mm,
able to just loosen the grip and just immerse in the experience and the gift of whatever it is that unfolds, which breath work can really help with.
mm,
It's such a powerful way. It's returning to that. Breath actually means spirit. So it's the spirit of life itself. And it's the first thing we do as, I guess, a marker to know that, wow, we're here, we're alive when we're born. We take our first breath, and then usually it's a cry or a scream.
mm,
And it's our last thing we do before we exit this realm. It's that final gasp. And I think that's the beauty of just remembrance, to be able to remember that that is the power in itself. That when we can return to our breath and come back to that, I guess, being whole with that and knowing that we're always protected, we're always fine. We're more than fine. We're always going to be looked after and we're exactly where we're meant to be. So for me, I don't feel ever we're out of alignment either, because we are always aligned with whatever timeline we are meant to be on to learn what we need to learn. And that's the perpetual gift. So,
mm,
but breath work definitely helps. Just keeping in tune with your body. I think more with my body, it's movement. I love exercising. So for me, that's like my meditation. Moving and movement is really powerful. And that shifts things in me very quickly. And not shying away from releasing. I think there's a lot of
mm,
stigma attached to tears and lots of other emotions that are deemed to be lower frequency or whatever you want to call it. But for me, I've never shied away from crying. Tears are like my jam, and
mm.
it's not a badge of honor. It's just for me, they're liquid words.
Yep.
And anything that's needing to be released, that's for me often where it'll come out. And I've really embraced that. I have been called many things because I am too emotional or a sook or whatever. And often that's in jest, but I'm proud of that. And I'm proud now, at the stage where I am in my life, that I am able to then move through things very quickly and not sit in it, because I don't shy away from those emotions, because it's something that we're gifted with. We're gifted with those tear ducts in the corner of our eyes for a reason. And the more that we can release and be okay with what we're here to experience through the body and through those methods to be able to let go, the quicker we're able to bring in what we're here to experience next.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love what you just said there. There's so much to unpack. We've been joking about it for the last 2 years. It'll be like a 7-part series. What
Probably
you're
will
talking
be.
about there with the tears is that's really prevalent within men as well, but it's also prevalent out there in the world. Like a lot of people will say, "Oh, I don't allow myself to cry," and it's a beautiful thing to be able to like. That's I don't know whether I've ever told you this before, but one of the most beautiful things you said to me was exactly that, like 2, 3 years ago
Mhm.
about crying and that because it's like we are allowed to cry and we are allowed to express that sadness and that really I don't know if I've ever told you that but that really helped me when you we went on that little cry chat we had there a couple of years ago but I just wanted to say too Louise like where was I actually going with that
The release for men, we
yeah
can go down that
yeah
path
yep
if you like, because I feel
yep
at the moment I love the throat chakra getting
mm.
activated. For men, so much stigma is attached to showing of emotion.
Where does that come
And
from do you feel
I feel there's a lot of, I guess this probably would be another whole episode. The pendulum swings, and I feel in some ways it's swung too far the other way.
yeah
There's a lot of, by design, emasculation that's gone on. Men, at times, I guess at the moment, or in the season of evolution that we're in, men don't always know where they fit. We've got women really rising and stepping into their power now. And for some men, that can be a bit foreign, intimidating, whatever the programming is around that for whatever they've experienced and their lived experience that's given them evidence for that or to have that perception. But I feel the more that we're connected with who we are, and men included, when you have a a core solid foundation and a solid core knowing of who you are, then everything around you just is. It's not, there's nothing really to be hooking onto to activate to the extent where we're seeing a lot of volatility in the external at the moment. And of course, we know that's by design. It's to put people in that frequency that they're easier to manipulate, to control, to be more malleable, I guess you could say. And rising up, while it's super important, it's about how about we rise in remembrance rather
Ooh.
than rise in anger, rise in fear, rise in scarcity. How about we just use that passion and that fuel and that emotive response that does get activated in us, and we might see something that's reminding us of something we haven't quite dealt with completely or enough. Do we ever deal with everything completely? And the whole, are we ever fully healed? If that's another question in itself. But at the end of the day, were we ever broken? Did we ever need fixing?
Mm.
And healing is, you think of the Achilles heel. It's interesting that even that word in itself, healing, it's that can be flipped around and it can be people's Achilles heel. Their, I guess their inability to really see themselves as whole and to feel that they have to keep looking for the next thing to be fixed or to have someone save them when everything is actually within. And it's just about rising in that remembrance and activating everything that you've ever done, seen, been, not just in this lifetime, but in if this is what people have an openness to be able to tap into, but in other lifetimes as well. And often when we do come in and incarnate into each different lifetime, we are carrying residue and ancestral trauma and other things that we've chosen to bring with us to unpack and unearth and untether from. And part of that contract, if we're doing that with everything that we're going through and experiencing, that's less we have to do next time.
Mm.
So, I think for men, it's a beautiful gift that they're able to cry, that they're able to really feel, because it's almost like they've been taught not to feel. And energy or emotion is just energy in motion. So if we're blocking an energy from moving and being fluid, and we look at fluidity, I guess is the word to be more feminine in nature, it's men can be fluid too. Men have to adapt, they have to change, they have to be able to go hunt and gather and do all the things, provide, protect. And that means them having to be fluid in the way that they're responding to situations. Often it's a more heightened fluidity, I guess, than what women, we can sort of really sit back and feel nurtured and feel, I guess, protected and safe because the masculine generally tends to go out and do that. But with that comes great responsibility. And I feel that there are a lot of men who have carried so much burden around responsibility and what society expects of them, what women potentially expect of them, what their roles are and what they have morphed into, without them having an outlet and without them having any, I guess, free space to be able to release amongst brothers, amongst other men. Of course, it's going to be suppressed. It's going to be contained within, and we all know where that leads, and that's not
Mm.
always pleasant for anyone. So I
No.
just I welcome that. I welcome men need men. Men need brotherhood. Men need support just as much as women do. And in ancestral times, the power of men gathering in groups to do men's business, often secret men's business. And the same with women. It's equally powerful. And there's definitely a place for that, and it does serve a huge purpose. So I'm all for men rising in their remembrance too, and really stepping into who they're here to be outside the white noise, outside that conditioning and the stories that they've enabled, I guess, that they've attached to that don't serve them. So I feel we're seeing a real shift. And the more that the strong masculine really rises, I feel the pendulum will start to come back. There'll be a bit more harmonious resonance with, yeah, going away from the emasculation and back into that nice balance. If balance even exists, that's also another question. But yeah, I think that's the beauty. It's the polarity, the beautiful dance that we have to do of the in between. And that's a powerful part of the journey here.
Mm. I could listen to you talk all day. I actually have done that
Uh,
before.
yes, many hours. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What would be, over the last few years since you've delved into this space, Louise, what has been your biggest challenge to overcome in your life? Like personally, like is like a feeling of like self-worth for someone out there, or is it a feeling of like what's been the biggest challenge emotionally you've had to overcome? I already know what the answer to that question is, but
Wow. Yeah. There has been quite a few. I feel for me, the biggest thing and recently has been for me to honor my needs. As a mum, it's something that I'm sure all mums would really resonate with. It's when you take on that journey, you tend to put yourself down the food chain, down the order of priorities. And while that's not always ideal, it's something that's just innate within us. I feel that we, as nurturers, that's what we tend to do. And I really praise women now who are looking at motherhood in a really different way to, for example, when I had my kids. And it is about them filling their own cup first. And I'm all for that. I think that's really important, having been through times where I didn't do that. But thankfully, I still had quite a strong knowing of what I needed to do intuitively to be able to not burn out or not have that full depletion. So I used to go to yoga and do things like that. Always movement for me. It was great and nourish my body and do all just the basics. I think getting back to the basics. But so that probably put me in the best position to then be able to slowly step into my power and make a huge decision to leave a marriage. And that while that wasn't without its challenges and its struggles and a lot of I wouldn't say turmoil, but there were a lot of times where I was thinking, am I ever going to get out of this? Is this ever going to happen? And it felt like it was while I was in it and in the depths of the abyss, that light was, I knew it was there. I always had that hope and I knew because I'd seen the other side. But I think that I can really resonate with people struggling with seeing the other side and with mental health issues. And to be able to have compassion, that's what that really taught me. There was a point in within all of that and the struggle to be able to break free, where I actually did. I remember driving one day, and as I do, I ponder a lot when I drive. I get lots, as you know, I get lots of my messages from spirit when I drive through number plates.
Hmm.
And it's a beautiful way that because I am in my car a lot to be able to receive just those little nudges just to serve as the reminder that we're always where we're meant to be, but also it's a bit of a fun dialogue that I like to have as well. I remember being in I wouldn't say a dark place, but it was a real challenging time during all of this transitioning out of that relationship. And I actually was driving and I was on my own in the car and I was just so in it. I remember seeing a pole, and this gets me emotional. I remember seeing a pole, looking at the pole and thinking how easy that would be to hit that pole and end it and end it. It was something I would never do, and I knew in I had every knowingness that that would be something I would never do. But I felt what that taught me in that moment was that's how some people feel every single day, and how tough in that moment. And because I'm very in my body and have so much empathy, I have a very high level of empathy and compassion. As a highly sensitive person, if you want to attach to that kind of label, but I had to feel that to be able to then know that that's also how I can understand people on a greater level with more depth and more empathy and compassion. And that was tough. Like that was probably, I would say, surprised me, even being so positive and so together, internally together, to have that even just cross my mind. That was, yeah, that really taught me a lot. That was quite a profound, pivotal moment in during that time that I guess you could say was filled with dark elements of darkness, but it's, without with the light you have the shadow. Without the
Hmm.
shadow you don't have you need the light. So you don't have the fullness of either unless they both coexist. And I've never shunned the shadow. I actually welcome it. It's a little bit crazy, but I feel it's important to really put us on that trajectory that we need to be on. And it's not necessarily for our fastest growth, because the fast way is not always the best way. I don't believe that it is. Sometimes we really need to be in spaces where we're not necessarily sitting in things for too long, but to feel the depths. And if we just skim over something, have we learned that lesson to the depth of what we're here to learn it within? So yeah, I guess for me, that's probably been the biggest thing. And to try and untether from all the guilt, all the things that creep in when you are making a big life decision like that, that mind you, is never entered into lightly when you've got other people to consider. And it's definitely not something that I entered into lightly. It was many years in I guess the process of that, knowing that then it was just that slow rise for me to be able to go, okay, well, when is it time? And the universe pretty much came and said, you need to do this now, or you're, and I feel too that that pole moment was that pivotal turning point, that even though that happened during when I'd already made my choice, it was almost like, well, the old marriage vow, till death do you part. What does that mean? Is that death physically, or is that death through soul death? And I actually asked myself that question. I thought, well, if we're, the conditioning that we attach to around that, and in a vow that's a solemn declaration to another person, do we need to spend our whole lives feeling like we're slowly dying? Is that, and that was the question I asked myself, is that why I'm here?
Mm.
Is that all I came here for, to slowly die? No, I don't think so. It's about living and it's about thriving. And I feel if, this can resonate with anyone, if you do feel that there's any ounce of you in any aspect of your life where you are slowly dying, there's parts of you that you just feel the light's being dimmed. And the more that it dims over time, eventually it turns out. It's gone. It's switched off. And all it takes is for you to make that decision to get that flicker going again. Flick the switch and boom, you're back. It might be a slow build, but that's also part of the beautiful becoming again, to be able to really return back home. So yeah, I guess that would be the biggest thing, probably the most pivotal thing that I've been through. And the fear of getting back out there and being seen. And that's why the labels for me, I feel it's so limiting that we have boxes that we put ourselves in, or we enable others to put us in, because that's how they want to perceive us. And if we play that game, then we're limiting who we are and who we're here to be. So, the title of a wife or a daughter or a son or a CEO or an entrepreneur or whatever it might be, a spiritual person, is something that really can inhibit us from our full spectrum of the gifts of what we're here to share. So I think if anyone can resonate with that, just keeping that flicker, keep that spark lit, keep that spark alive, because we are the spark of divinity. We came in with that.
Mm.
And I feel that that's when you hear in stories that they say, "Oh, you were just a twinkle in your father and your mother's eye."
Yeah.
That's that spark of divinity. It's that we've all got it. And over time we can keep it lit. Sometimes like a flame, it softens and it dims. But then, you put some oxygen on it, or you get it out into an environment where it thrives, boom, and it's back. And that environment first has to come from within. And if you have a solid home environment, your inner home, then the external will mirror that. And yeah, the external environment's so important to have the right people around you, especially when you are going through tough times and you do feel lonely. And you might not be alone because people are there, but not everyone's here to understand the depths of what you experience either, because it's not their journey. And I think we really need to remind ourselves of that when we are in pivotal moments of the abyss, the depths of whatever it is we're navigating, that sometimes it is just meant for us to be immersed in ourselves without the projection, without the saving or the martyrdom of other people trying to soften the blow or to snowplow the path and allow it to be smoother. And I think parenting, a lot of that happens with parenting, and parents forget that it's their child's journey. That's when the umbilical cord is cut. They're their own entity, and it's their journey to experience the lessons and the gifts and the blessings that they're here to immerse in as part of their contract. So yeah, I feel while it is important to have the amazing people around you, that sometimes things are just meant to be navigated in essence, on your own in certain parts of it, to be able to really embody the wisdom of the teachings of that. As hard as it can be. But you do get out the other side, and I'm living proof of that. And yeah, it's about being kind to yourself in the process. That's really important.
Mm.
Really important, because even putting yourself first, being kind to yourself by putting yourself first, and to allow yourself, give yourself permission to do that. That can be the hardest step for a lot of people, especially a lot of women who are in things that they're not fully thriving in, or they're not fully themselves or fully happy in. Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing all that you shared just then.
Yeah, that was big. We knew we would go deep.
Yes, we did.
There's no surface with me. You know that.
No, I do know that. I do know that very, very well, and I don't really know where to take it from here. I'm the host and don't really know where to take it, but that
Mm.
spiel there was just for anyone out there listening and watching. That's definitely something that might end up on social media in the next couple of days. But just moving on from just circle back to something you said there too, was how empowering is that for someone that was in the same situation? Someone might be in the very same situation you were in a few years ago. What would be your advice to that woman that's in a very similar situation to you? You might have already said it, but
Oh, probably the biggest piece of advice, and obviously it's just my perception of what I've experienced, is trust yourself.
yeah.
Trust that you are guided. You're being guided, and your guidance isn't external, it's your inner compass, your heart. The heart never lies. And it has the strongest magnetic field for a reason. And I feel trauma, woundings, all the things that we do experience as part of being here tends to block off or shield the heart from fully feeling. And if there's even one inkling that someone's, and of course in relationships, there's ebbs and flows all the time. That's part of it. And we learn so much more. We can only go so far alone. We learn
Mm.
so much through connection with other people, whether it's children, partners, business colleagues, it doesn't matter. It's that connection. We're wired for that. So, of course, we're going to be activated by people. We're going to have times where things aren't always amazing. And that's a beautiful gift of being in relation. You're able, in a relationship, you're able to interconnect, you're able to navigate those things together, depending on where you're at, both of you in your journey. For women who feel that they are, I guess, in a space where there's only so much they can do. They're doing the work on themselves, and it's the same with men. There's a lot of men who are really awakening to their power now, and I think it doesn't matter if it's males or females, but if it comes to a point where you can't go any further, that you've reached your limit, there's only so much you can do, be okay with letting go. Give yourself permission to let all the other judgment and all the white noise of the external, which often is projections of other people, just remove yourself from that and trust what you're feeling is where you need to be. Because normally it's something that if it's not actioned and if it's not listened to or really acted upon, the universe will do it for you. And it won't be as pleasant because you'll feel less in control. And as humans, we always like to have that little grip there to feel like we do have that stability and that safety. But it's also about where's the safety that you have within you, your vessel, your home, and your knowingness that, yeah, I am going to be okay. I'm going to be more than okay. And if I can, yeah, really reiterate to women is that you don't need to settle. And life's not about settling. We're here to thrive. We're here to be the best version of ourselves and be okay with honoring your own path because it's not you don't look back with regret. You look back with well, I know in my experience with gratitude. I don't begrudge anything,
Neither.
and I learned so much from all of that experience, and especially in the end, so much gratitude came through, even though it was hard and it was icky and clunky and really, yeah, there are times where when other people are involved, it's not pleasant. And it does weigh on your heartstrings. And it's something that you do question. But if it comes back to that inner compass where you know that there's no going back, you know you've done the right thing. And people move on, water flows under the bridge, and you do come out the other side better and stronger and wiser for the experience because it does come down to that gratitude. And for me, I knew that I had to go through that because I hadn't learned and integrated all the lessons in that period that I needed to. So it was about that beautiful integration and that breaking of a cycle that then I could move through that and be like, "Ah, that makes perfect sense." And thankfully for me, because of how connected I was during the whole process, I knew exactly what was happening and why I was in that in every moment. So I guess that's where having a solid foundation within your own embodiment practices and knowing who you are at your core can really help you navigate through tricky situations and situations that are life-changing.
Mm.
It can help you move through them a lot with, I guess, not a lot more ease, but more easeful and with more grace than if you didn't have that connection to self.
No, it's an awesome piece of advice. I don't really know where to take it from. Yeah, it's just we've just gone off on like 3 or 4 different tangents,
We
and that's
have.
the beauty of us connecting.
Yeah.
Is out there in a public space now. So for anyone out there listening and watching, this is how we usually communicate when we're together or when we're on the phone or whatever. We just go off on tangents, and it all sort of comes back to one, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We all always end up coming back around. And
Mm,
I think that's the beautiful gift of when people allow themselves to be,
mm,
lose the mask, drop the facade, no inhibitions. And when when we're in our beingness, that's our authenticity. It's like I think there's so much hype around that word at the moment. It's kind of a fad. It's like, oh, let's be authentic. Just be you.
yeah,
Like just be yourself. Just shine. Just emanate your own frequency.
yeah,
Because we all have a different signature frequency that's here to make that imprint on the collective and in the world. And just like our fingerprints, no two are the same. So if you're able just to be every expression of you in any given moment, then you're doing yourself and the world a favor just by being that. So there's no need to try to be authentic. That's a performance. That's a
that's
performative
true.
marker that so yeah, just emanate your frequency and just be who you're here to be. And I think that's the beauty of when we connect, we're able to do that. And it's really powerful. And that to me is how all connections should be.
Mm.
No one in my world is not like that. And that's because I welcome all parts of everyone because we're all a little bit wild and a little bit unhinged at times. And that's
Yeah,
the beauty of the human experience because
mm,
we're limitless and
yeah,
we only come here and we're told the opposite of that.
hmm,
But we know, and when you know who you've come here to be, you don't have to try to be anything. Just have to be.
yep,
And that's a state of being in itself, beingness. And if it's not, it is now. So
yeah. No, it's so true because there's a lot of stuff out there online, and about being authentic. Well, it's like
yeah.
it's finding what works for you and just being that person. I know people that start on the self-development journey. Well, I know I did this. You probably did too. Like, you do put on the mask and the facade and all the things because it's like, well, you have a sort of I know for me, it's like I didn't want any association with that past version of me at all. But you got to go back and meet that past version with some kindness and some love, and then you can integrate that and still be that person, but just in a more integrated and mature way. I know that's worked for me, and I think you know that anyway. But it's like, we try and be something better than what we were before, but we can still be ourselves in a more integrated way. I think you know what I was trying to say there.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. And that's part of that homecoming. It's about, and it got nothing to do with anyone else.
No.
Any performance or any mask or any facade, it's us versus us.
Mm.
And the stories that we attach to make us feel less than. And it's interesting. I remember speaking on that. I was at a beautiful women's circle, and I'd arrived a little bit later than usual, which is just me being on me time. Nothing new there. And we had to write down what our biggest fear was. And so I sort of flew in and I'm like, oh, everyone's sitting down. And I started writing. And after I did that, I put it in the little box, the little basket, folded it over. And I thought, oh, I sat down, took my seat, sort of said hello to everyone. And I went, oh, okay, these are being read out. Maybe I should have put snakes or crocodiles. My biggest fear is being eaten by shark. But no, when it came to have mine read out, it said, well, it was a bit tricky to read because I wrote it so quickly. It actually said fear of being less than. And I had to explain a little bit about what that meant. And to me, that was at that time my biggest fear was to have come into this world, to have incarnated here in the body that I'm in, with the family I've got, with the contract that I signed up for, and to draw my last breath and to not have done what I've come here to do. That was what at that pivotal moment that I felt was my biggest fear. And I think that also comes into the projections that we have that we put on not even just other people, but on ourselves. So it's that pressure piece where we feel we do have to perform. So we are being seen as a certain person or we're showing up in a certain way. And in reality, if we just show up as who we are, we're doing the best we can. Every day's a clean slate. So we get to have another crack the next day. And that's always part of my gratitude when I wake up in the morning, when my eyes see the ceiling, I'm like, yes, I'm back. I'm back to create more impact. I get another chance to have another 24 hours, hopefully, of life and of being who I'm here to be. And I think that's a really powerful way to just live. And those fears, a lot of the time, recently for me, it was the fear of being seen. And in this lifetime, it's that quite the ironic paradox. I'm on 9 life paths. So humanitarian, it's all about endings and closure and all the things, and just having that whole, just wanting everyone to be happy and everyone to be shining and living in harmony. Um, but to do that, you need to be visible. You need to have that visibility piece and a fear of being seen, and also activating the throat chakra. Yet knowing that that's what you're here in this lifetime to do is quite the ironic piece there to have to dance between.
Mm.
So that's been a big journey for me as well, and I'm sure other people will relate to that.
100%.
Yeah, especially
Definitely
coming.
definitely if you're watching on YouTube right now, there's definitely a blue theme here, isn't there?
Yeah, all about the throat and expression. It's
Yeah.
my favorite color too.
Is it?
Yes,
I did
yes,
not know
always
that.
has been. Yeah, I love blue. And
I learned something new about you every single time we talk, and that's either professionally or as friends or even on a platform like this.
I'm just the gift that keeps on giving, Nathan. You know that.
Yeah, it's true.
The eternal unpacking. That isn't that what we're all here to do for each other? Just
Yeah, you've
that
definitely done that with me.
yeah, just the eternal unpacking.
Mm,
And I think because you're so open and you're so receptive to be able to meet people where they're at, I think that's a really powerful gift. And as in the masculine too, to be able to hold that light and still be able to hold others the way that, to the best of your capacity, and to see others for who they are, and to, have this opportunity to be able to allow people to share their story and to have a voice
mm.
and to feel seen and heard. And that's a beautiful gift that everyone should be able to experience. But
Yeah, but
sadly, they
you know how we were saying before, how everything comes from within? Do you feel like that, what you just said there, being able to hold others, you've got to be able to hold yourself too? Would you agree? Yeah.
100%. And I think that's where some of the self-doubt creeps in,
Yep.
the limitation, the limiting beliefs creep in, that we start telling ourselves those stories of, or who am I to do that? Who am I to be that leader? Or who am I to be that voice on a podcast? Who am I to
Mm,
write that post about XYZ? Who am I to stand on a stage
mm,
or to start spruiking about some topic that I've only just delved into? But the question is, who am I not to do that? Who
yeah.
says I can't do that? And often it's no one around us, it's ourselves. It's that little pesky voice that comes from when we're usually a child, or it's a story that we attach to in a moment where, yes, it might have been an experience that was inflicted upon us through someone else or through an external source, but we chose to attach a story to that. And then that story then becomes our reality. And then that reality just sits around, sits in our field until it decides to rear its ugly head, because we've decided to just tuck it away for safety, for comfort, because when it comes up, oh, it's not fun.
Yeah.
But it's just coming up to say hi. And if we can say, oh, welcome to the party, everyone's welcome. The more the merrier. And if we look at ourselves as that multifaceted being who we are, you look at it's like a diamond, and diamonds are birthed under pressure. So when we see all the facets of ourselves, then we're able to really appreciate the all-encompassing nature of who we are as humans, because we are multidimensional beings. We actually can give ourselves more grace and more compassion when things do come up that are uncomfortable. And I think that's a really powerful gift for us to be able to move through, that then we can pass on to the generations coming after us as well. And the more work we do, the more it's going to be a guiding light for them as well. And that's why they teach us so much about who we are, and the work that we need to continue doing. But just through living, I think, do we need anything more? Do we need to be more of anything? No, we just need to remember who we are. And the more we can untether from who we thought we were or who we were told we were, the more we are uncovering our true essence. And that's purity at its source. It just gets a little bit murky. It's gotten murky over time, and we all knew that.
Mm.
We all went, hey, yeah, I want to come down and experience that. That looks like a wild place to hang out for a bit for however many years. And we bring all that wisdom with us, and we're able then to use that wisdom. It's like if we think that this is all there is, then yeah, we're really not here for that's probably NPC vibes, but we're we're here to experience the density through the light. Because we come as light, we leave as light. The density is the in between. And it's about that the beautiful nuance of dancing in between those the polarity and integrating it and just loving it, loving the journey for whatever it throws at us. Because we're the ones who choose the reality
Yeah.
through our perception. And obviously that's different for everyone. And then the perspective comes in, and then that's, it's like the head and the heart.
Hmm.
And what's in the middle? The throat. So it's like that beautiful join, the joining piece. And we're all here to share. We've all got a beautiful story to share. And even if it's with our nearest and dearest, not being afraid to share our truth, because we all have magic within us, and we all have that embedded wisdom that is a gift for someone else who might just be floating around waiting for that one piece, that one little juicy nugget to land, and it changes the trajectory of their whole life. So if we can imagine that by being our true selves and by being authentically us, that just by being, we are creating that ripple. It's the spark that kind of like the mycelium network, and the light that we have. It's almost like you pull apart a computer and you see the components, the componentry in a computer, and there's wiring everywhere. And that's obviously why also we call it the internet and the ether. Is it the ethernet?
Yeah,
Ethernet
Ethan. Yeah, yeah,
connection,
ether, but
connection.
the ether's us.
And
Yeah.
me being so data savvy, as we
I
found out before,
was just about to say.
before we started. But it's the network, and it's that beautiful interconnectedness. And there's no coincidence that that's how computer systems are designed,
Hmm.
because that's us as a collective, and our circuitry is lit, it's light, it's energy. And it's the more we can connect with another person through that, the more light we bring to the world and the more impact we have. It's so
100%.
powerful.
And that's exactly why they call it telecommunications, is in the telephone, because we can telepathically communicate with each other. We have Wi-Fi and internet and all the things, but we have our own Wi-Fi and our own internet inside of
Mm.
us. We can get messages and downloads and all the things from people call it God, people call it Jesus, Louise, people even call it, divine, universe, spirit, whatever that is to you.
Yeah.
We still get those messages and those downloads. We don't It's like that was designed as a mirror of what we have inside.
100%.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, with the AI and the way all of that's going, it's nothing can replace the heart. And I was
Yes.
speaking on this with a friend the other day. I said they can, even with obviously what they're trying to implement. And I say trying because, if people rise up and we're rising in that remembrance, things like that don't touch us.
Exactly.
They don't need to touch us. It can be in your field, it can be that white noise, and it can stay white noise. And it's such a powerful reminder of collectively when we band together and we go back to those ancient times where the tribe was everything. And I feel that people don't want to be kicked out of a tribe because that's safety in numbers, right? So it's
Yep.
about being safe. But if you can create that safety within yourself, and like you said, know that you're connected to source, to an external, powerful, I guess it's powerful reflection. It's just the mirror of us.
Yeah.
We are the universe incarnate.
Hmm.
So everything we have is within. You think of look at what the atoms we're made of, the minerals, all the things. It's we are alive. We're our cells are alive. Everything is alive unless we choose otherwise. And that's where that spark can slowly dim the more we're giving our power away. But you know within yourself when you're like, oh, I've got that. And when people say, oh, I've got my spark back, I've got my mojo back, I've got, my
Yeah.
spark. I feel lit. Yes, it's amazing. And it's the light because we're stepping more into our light bodies. And, the light that we do have access to is just about our remembrance. And with every step we take, coming back to who we are at our core, that's the remembrance path. That's the homecoming.
Mm.
And that is far greater, and the power in that, than any external source can try and take from us because they can't replicate the heart and the heart energy and the heart frequency. Can't happen.
No.
They can try, but it's we are such powerful beings. And I think the more we remember that, the more we are unperturbed by what goes on around us. And yeah, I think having to focus on that rather than the negative or the control and the suppression that's been around for eons. It's nothing new. And
Mm.
look, we're still all kicking on. We're still species that continue. We evolve, we grow, we learn, we come back, we do it again in a different way. And that's because we are amazing at what we're able to unpack within ourselves. And if you're open to that and open to other, I guess, ideals and other ways of looking at things, then that's when it's almost like if we're coming with amnesia, that we slowly start to get our memory back. The fog clears, the blinkers come off, and the ahas become, oh, that's just every day now. The aha moments aren't really massive. They're just, oh, yeah, that's because I know who I am. And if you're not getting those ahas every day, then you start to question, well, what am I doing? Where do I need more growth? What's going on? So yeah, I think the more we do step into our power and rise into that remembrance, the world's going to be an amazing place. It already is. There's so much
Mm.
beauty in the world.
There
I think,
is.
yeah,
There's
just
something you said to me a couple of years ago that you often say is the day you stop. Was it the day you stop learning is the day you start dying?
yeah. If you're not growing, you're
That's it.
dying.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's something
and
I've always remembered from what you've said. Just to me, even on like a phone call. I think you've
mm.
said that to me 100 times.
Oh, we all need the beautiful reminders, don't we? It's
Yeah.
definitely part of the journey. And growth has to start in dark spaces. We
Hmm.
plant seeds in the darkness. We cultivate that soil. We make sure that we're tending to it. We're giving it love. We're nurturing. And we have to do that within ourselves too, especially when we're hitting another layer of expansion and it's calling for us to really step into that extra level of power that might feel unfamiliar. I mean, it's
Mm.
not because it's just something that it's already played out, but we just haven't tapped into that timeline. It hasn't manifested physically. And that's why it can feel very uncomfortable because we're stretching. It's that stretch. And I look at it and it's akin to giving birth. So the birth canal, and we come to the light. So we start in the darkness and we come, when we're growing, obviously, and we come out into the light. It's like, wow, this is wild. And then when we leave, we go to the light. And that's no coincidence. So it's just I guess, the darkness that we feel in between, but that's where the growth is. And it's from the light at both ends. And in between that darkness is where we're just growing. It's the soil. We sprout, we thrive, we flourish, we harvest, and then we do it all again in a different way. And it's not necessarily a perpetual loop. It's just more unearthing, more untethering, and more expansion into a new layer. So, yeah, it's such a beautiful gift
It
when you
is.
look at it like that.
Mm. And it's looking through the lens of beauty.
Mm,
Like there is so much, as you said earlier, there is so much beauty in this world. There's so much beauty in the ocean, so much beauty out there. But if it's what you said too about being open. If you're not open, you're going to view the world the way you view it. But if you're open-minded and you see the beauty, that's when you can see the beauty in yourself and others too.
100%. Because there's no competition.
No,
And
that's
I
another one.
feel it's that, and that exists. It's natural. It's,
Mm,
where you look at things and it can feel like a cutthroat world out there. But that's if you choose to look at it that way.
Exactly.
And I always say there's a space for everyone at the abundance table. We just need to claim our seat.
Yeah, you do say that a lot.
I do. And that's also for me. So I keep remembering that. It's like, stop comparing yourself to others. We don't need to compare. And that's when the voice kicks in my head, the imposter syndrome
Yeah.
and the worthiness, all of that, oh, the charging people for things that come from your heart, what's your worth? And I learnt going through what I did, the last couple of years, that worth and value are two very different things. And that's perception, perceived worth and perceived value, very different things. And it's all relative to the individual. So in a way, we can't really take anything personally because often it has nothing to do with us. And I think when you're really looking at the world through the lens of beauty and through the lens of how amazing is it to be here? It's a privilege that's denied to so many
That's
because
true.
their lives are cut short. And it's almost we're doing ourselves a disservice and humanity a disservice if we're not waking up every day and going, right, where's my impact at? Who am I here to? And I guess service, being of service is beautiful. I like to look at it as contributing because service that can kind of pedestal and hierarchy. So instead of feeling like there is a pedestaling there, how can I contribute to make someone's life greater or
Mm.
more wholesome or more empowered? So that contribution, and then it's not just your contribution, but it's co-contribution. So you're co-creating together with others in unison to whether they come to you for a service or you go to them, or whether that's just through your very existence, by you going out your front door and smiling at a stranger on a walk or sparking a conversation, giving someone the time of day. You've contributed to their world and made their world greater by doing that one small thing.
Mm. That's
And
powerful.
gestures and things, acts of service and things like that don't have to be big, grandiose things and huge and impactful and have a lot of notoriety. They can be so simple. And I feel we forget that. We get so caught up in big impact, social media and all the things you have to do XYZ to be seen. But do we?
Mm.
If you're seeing yourself and if you're creating an impact just by being you, then you've done your job for the day. And of course, it's important when you know you're here for big mission and to create a legacy that's because we are all here for different things. And no one else knows another person's soul contract. So who are we to judge? It's not our place to cast judgments on others or assumptions based on what we might feel they're here to do or who they're here to be. That's for them to figure out, and that's for them to really dial in on and just honor that and honor their own path, irrespective of what anyone else thinks they should be doing. So, yeah, I think that comes back to that connection to self.
Mm.
And we can't do that sometimes unless we're really isolating and spending quality time in our own space with our own thoughts and just being one with us. And sometimes that can be the hardest thing you will ever do, but it's the most rewarding and it's just so abundant in blessings because you are learning so much about yourself that potentially you were bypassing because you always craved company or you always craved connection with others. And a lot of people will bypass their own stuff through others because it's easy and they don't have to take that long, hard look in the mirror and really dive deep into their own, I guess, limitations or inhibitions. And unless they're in that environment where they've got beautiful people around them who are that activator or that reminder, then they're going to spend their whole life being less than who they're here to be. And then potentially taking their last breath with regrets. And I know you and I are both not wanting to do that, which is why we're here to do what we're here to do. And it's that all-encompassing, the health and wellness space, empowerment space, the coaching space, whatever you want to label it. It's just about being true to our core values and our mission and our purpose and showing others, being that mirror for them so they can see the light within them too. because for some people it's been dimmed,
Hmm.
and all they need is that one person to show them that the spark is still there. They just have to walk to the switch, flick it on, and off they go.
I
Yeah.
just love that last hour. That was awesome. It's almost like we're having a, it's almost like we're having just a general conversation we usually have. Louise, that was where can people find you?
Well, they can jump on my socials. I'm on obviously Louise Hauff on Instagram and Luminous Soul. That's my business account.
Mm.
Facebook, so Instagram, Facebook, and my podcast that is still
Oh,
loading. Ignite the Spark with Luminous Soul. So I'm sure you'll put all those details on here.
yes, they'll be in the show notes for those who are interested. Louise, thank you so much for joining my show. It's been 3 years and the 4 years in the making, but if there is something that you could leave the audience with today that is probably from the heart, you might have already said it, who knows, but if there's something you can leave the audience with today that can sum up this conversation, what would that be?
Oh, that's a tough one. We have
Uh,
covered a lot.
we have.
I would say whatever sets your heart on fire, go be more of that. Don't
Ooh.
do more of that, go be more of that. And that's the whole authenticity piece wrapped up with a bow. So just go be more of who you know you're here to be, because
Mm,
we all know who we're here to be. We just need to untether from everything that's not that.
mm,
And you're always divinely guided. You're never not where you're meant to be to learn what you need to learn. So don't ever be afraid.
yeah,
Just to step into that next layer and embrace the discomfort as part of the stretch, as part of the growth, because it will get you through the other side.
that's that's a good piece of advice and something I'm going to ponder today too. So, Louise, thank you very much for joining the show today. I just absolutely love this conversation, and we're going to have more of them. So, yeah, you're out there now. How good?
Oh, I know. Yeah, thanks so much for the kick up the bum. I appreciate the time that you've put into this, and it's been a pleasure. It's
Hmm.
been so great. Just feels like a normal chin wag that I would have with any other
What do you
beautiful
say?
friend.
Just another day at the office.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think anyone who knows me knows I love a good chat,
Yeah.
and but I also am a very good listener. So my
Mm,
DMs are always open if anyone has anything they'd like to share or to unpack. And that's the beauty of connection.
yeah,
And our people will always find us. So that's another piece. Never forget that we're not here for everyone. That's the whole point. Because if we were, it's almost like we're reaching no one. So your people will find you. You just have to put yourself out there and let them know that you exist.
I love that,
So thank you
Louise.
for allowing me to exist, Nathan.
No worries, Louise. Just so much wisdom in there, and yeah, I just appreciate everything that you say and everything that you do, and all that you are, and yeah, so very grateful. We met on the beach in Burleigh through Dale Holmes. So Dale, if you're listening and watching, hello, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. Love your
Louise is
work.
out there now, mate. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I appreciate this conversation. So. Thank you for everyone for tuning in today or tonight, wherever you're in the world you are, and I hope that this has ignited the spark in you. Pardon the pun. Cheers. We're out.